Welcome back to the Ed Show. President Obama made it clear today that he was not attacking free enterprise. And Mitt Romney was the one who made Bain Capital relevant to the campaign.
But understand that their priority is to maximize profits. And that's not always going to be good for communities or businesses or workers. He's saying, I'm a business guy and I know how to fix it, and this is his business.
And if it wasn't for the distraction of Cory Booker, this would be headlining political news today. The Obama campaign's focus on what happened to a company called Ampad under Mitt Romney's leadership.
But then the company was sold to Ampad.
One day we had a job, and the next day we didn't.
We'd been bought and sold in the past. We'd never had a problem. We were always a business that had value.
And when Bain Capital bought us and Ampad come in, that was a whole different story.
We were a nice, strong, healthy company. We were making money, and for them to just come out from nowhere and shut the place down, it was devastating.
When Ampad bought the former SCM plant, it abruptly fired all 350 workers.
Took our benefits. We didn't have any more retirement. And Bain, Mitt Romney, they did not care about us as workers.
So here is the story. In 1994, Ampad, under Bain Capital's leadership, purchased a factory in Marion, Indiana, and laid off all of the workers, 250 workers. Bain Capital loaded Ampad with crippling debt, and in 2000, Ampad went into bankruptcy. Bain Capital made $100 million from its $5 million investment, but creditors got 0.2 cents for every dollar they were owed. These creditors included pension funds. I'm joined tonight by Randy Johnson, who worked at an Ampad plant there in Indiana that was bought by Bain Capital. Mr. Johnson, good to have you with us tonight. I guess the word this evening is nauseated. How nauseated were you when you got the news that you were losing your job, and so were your friends and family and everybody else who worked at that plant?
Well, it was nauseating, but it was devastating. What happened to the families, people can't start to imagine unless they've been through it, and I know a lot of folks have, but the bottom line is when you find out that your plant that was making money, was successful in going forward and making quality products, suddenly had to, your world turned upside down, and Romney called it his real world. We had to understand that, and I don't get it. Why would you say such a thing, that this is the real world? That you have to destroy companies to call it profits for the rich, this type of thing. I mean, he doesn't get it, and he doesn't understand the average person, and I know we're going to hear that many times.
One of the headlines is how Romney wouldn't meet with workers. Was there any attempt to include actual workers in the decision-making process?
What happened was that was early on, that headline run, and we were consistently trying to get him to talk with us, and actually a group of 6 people was able to get him basically cornered at the Columbus Day parade and insist that he meet with them, and he did meet with them that night in the evening without fanfare, and said he would look into it and get back to them, and we're still waiting on that to happen. The only time he ever got back to us was when he sent a letter the day the plant closed.
The thing that's striking about this story is that I think most Americans understand when a new company comes in, there's going to be some changes. Everything from equipment to desks to heavy equipment to a few personnel. But to fire everybody? What was happening?
Well, they called it an asset sale. We're only buying the assets. And what happened was, and I've repeated this many times, is not only did they tell you you're fired, but they brought in guards, walked you out of the building and said, here's an application. If we want you, we'll hire you back. And when they do, it's reduced wages, reduced benefits. You no longer have a retirement plan.
Yeah.
I mean, this is really hard stuff for the people that work there.
No doubt. Here's more from President Obama today responding to this.
When you're president, as opposed to the head of a private equity firm, then your job is not simply to maximize profits. Your job is to figure out how everybody in the country has a fair shot. Your job is to think about those workers who get laid off and how are we paying for their retraining.
What do you think of Romney pointing to his business experience as proof that he can create jobs as president, and compare that to what President Obama said this afternoon?
Well, I think we need to really look at this very closely. What Mitt Romney's style and his philosophy in business, we all know, is about creating wealth. But what he doesn't seem to understand is by creating good jobs And I agree that sometimes we don't always be able to employ the whole workforce, but at least try to work with the workers to create a good product, which in turn, more middle class people get jobs, and you see the cycle to start over and over again. That's what creates jobs. Whenever he takes that away, it loses jobs.
Do you think President Obama's campaign should keep hitting on this story and keep hitting on just the whole business experience after what Cory Booker said and some of the criticism that's been out there? What do you think?
Oh, I think we're going to have to, because that's his only record. He doesn't have anything else to fall back on except being governor, and we know what that is. We shouldn't leave out that, you know, he did do the Olympics, and he had a lot of help to get that accomplished. But, you know, the record is the record, and the facts speak for themselves. And this is not just AMPAD, but you had many companies the same thing happened to. Yeah. And they draw the same kind of profits. They didn't create jobs. They didn't in turn create more jobs. That's what the president's doing right now. He's doing it with GM, companies like that.
And these are not personal attacks. These are the record. Randy Johnson, good to have you with us tonight. Thank you for joining us on The Ed Show. Questions about Elizabeth Warren's ancestry are still dogging her campaign. I have some advice for her next. In 15 days before the biggest election in America, Scott Walker is in hot water with the feds. You won't want to miss this one. Stay with us.